When turning right or left at an intersection, and the little green man of the pedestrian crossing is still on, you may go if there are no pedestrians crossing. Pedestrians crossing the intersection after the little man has turned red still have right of way. Motor vehicles have right of way over pedestrians where there are no crossing lines. When turning at an intersection, you do not have right of way when turning right. You may not overtake another vehicle when turning right. You don't have to stop if the robot turns red, if there's a flashing green filter arrow flashing for you to turn right. When approaching an intersection, you must stop if the robot turns amber and you can stop safely behind the stop line. When approaching a robot and the red light is flashing, you must stop and, when safe, pull off again, as at a four-way stop. When turning right or left at an intersection, you must observe around you and indicate well in advance of the turn. Slow down to a lower gear and turn after ensuring that it is safe. You may not enter an intersection if there is already traffic in the intersection waiting to move and the lights may change at any time, or if you want to turn right and there's not enough space in the intersection for other vehicles to turn safely. When approaching a four-way stop, the driver must stop regardless of whether there is other traffic or not, and only move if it is safe to do so. If the vehicle you are towing has defective brakes, you must only tow the vehicle with a tow bar. Name a few of the rules of towing. A tractor is allowed to pull a trailer carrying 10 passengers if traveling at 30 kilometers an hour. When towing a vehicle on a freeway at 30 kilometers an hour, you may use a tow rope. When parking on a public road at night, you may only use your parking lights if you are parked in a street that is not painted with parking lines or properly lit. When do you switch on your headlights? If road users and vehicles are not clearly visible within 150 meters, from when the sun goes down until it rises, in rain or mist, and you cannot see 80 meters in front of you. What are the maximum distances that driving and passing beams should be able to illuminate? Passing beams, 40 meters. Driving beams, 100 meters. When involved in an accident, what action should you take? Immediately stop the vehicle. Check the nature and extent of the injuries suffered. Do not move the vehicles until told to do so by a police officer. If there is no serious damage or injury, you must move the vehicle if it is obstructing traffic. A few important safe driving points. On a long drive, if you are feeling a little tired, stop and have a break. You should always be able to see clearly on all sides of the vehicle. When you become aware that someone is trying to pass you, you must keep as far left as possible. Do not accelerate. When may you pass another vehicle on the left-hand side? If the vehicle is turning right at a corner and it is safe to do so without driving on the shoulder of the road. If you have been instructed to do so by a police officer. If you are driving in a road with 2 or more lanes going in the same direction. You may not pass another vehicle on a curve, in misty conditions when you cannot see at least 100 meters ahead, near the crest of a hill or in a tunnel. You may not obtain a learner's license if you were declared unfit to obtain a license for a certain period, and that period is not over. You are also not allowed to get a learner's license if you had a license suspended temporarily and that suspension is not over, or already have a license for the same class of vehicle. Your following distance is safe if you can stop without swerving if the vehicle in front of you suddenly stops. The driver of a vehicle may not Use a vehicle that does not have a fuel cap. Allow the vehicle to spill oil, water or petrol on the surface of the road, or let the wheels spin when pulling off. A driver may use hand signals on a freeway in an emergency. You may drive on the right-hand side of a two-way road when ordered to do so by a police or traffic officer. The minimum depth of tread allowed on a tire is 1 millimeter over the whole surface. You are not allowed to stop at any place where you would obscure a traffic sign, or alongside or opposite a vehicle where the road is 8 meters wide, or at any place where stopping would endanger or obstruct other traffic, or on the right-hand side of the road facing oncoming traffic. Legal speed at which you may travel on freeways is 120 kilometers an hour. On national roads it's 100 kilometers an hour. And on roads in most built-up areas it is 60 kilometers an hour. It is legal to stop your vehicle. Nine meters from a pedestrian crossing. To avoid a fine, you must produce your license on request from a traffic officer immediately. Do not park your vehicle within a short distance of an intersection. Seat belts must be worn when driving on all roads. To avoid being fined, a driver must ensure that a small child sits in a special child seat and is properly secured with a seat belt. You may stop on a freeway to change a flat tire. Your vehicle will be towed away and impounded if left for 24 hours or more in the same place next to a public road in a rural area. May not leave your vehicle parked in one place next to a public road in an urban area for more than 7 days. Do not fill up with petrol while the engine is running, or drive on a sidewalk, or move backwards without checking for safety. You may only use your hooter in an attempt to avoid a collision. The tone or pitch of the sound of your hooter may not change. You have right of way in the following circumstances: when you arrive first at a four-way stop, when you are in a traffic circle. A vehicle license is valid for 12 months. The legal requirements for carrying goods on your vehicle must not exceed a width of 3 meters. They must not interfere with the driver's view. They must not touch the surface of the road. Before changing lanes, the final thing you must do is check your blind spot. A safe following distance at all speeds on all roads should be 4 seconds. When making an urgent stop, it takes longer if the vehicle is at a higher speed, or on a wet road rather than a dry road, or if the vehicle is heavily loaded. The general speed you may travel in a town or city is 60 kilometers an hour. The most important rule of the road in South Africa is to keep as far to the left as is safe. A learner driver may not leave the engine running while the vehicle is unattended. When changing lanes, you must check for traffic behind and in the blind spot. Then signal and change lanes when it is safe. You may enter or cross a public road if you are sure that the road is clear of traffic for a long distance. When you become aware of an emergency vehicle sounding a siren on a public road, you must give right of way to the emergency vehicle. The rule for wearing seat belts in a vehicle. While reversing, you don't have to wear a seat belt. If the vehicle you are using has seat belts in the front or the back, they must be worn. If the vehicle you are using has seat belts in the front or the back, they must be worn. If you have a learner's license for a light motor vehicle, you can only drive if there is someone in the vehicle who has a license of the same code.